First law of masculine social dynamics. What the actual fuck do you want? Quote Corey Boutwell. Let's go. So if you haven't read the book yet, or you want access to this chapter, please message me, let me know, and I'll send it to you, because I'm going to be reading quite a lot of this chapter. It's absolutely incredible. So listen in, pay attention. What do you want? And want it is the most important foundation of masculine social dynamics. Everything runs through this. All the other tools, all the problems, all the laws, all the rules, everything comes from what do you want and want it. At my workshops and retreats, we just scream at guys, what do you want? Like all the time. It's like, what do you want? What do you want? Every time we have problems, there's a trigger, there's a scenario, this thing's happened. It's like, well, what do you want, dude? And so many of us guys, we live in this world where we have so many different options, and the whole point of who we are as men and what we do is this sacred choice that we get. Our choice is so sacred, so important to us as men. There's this quote here: "The world will move out of the way for the man who knows what he wants," by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Let's go. Want, to have a desire to possess or do something or wish for. The origin of want is to be lacking, a deficient in something. From Old Norse vanta, to lack what? Deficiency, insufficiency, absence, or lack of. Extremely important to know, because want, the word want, actually usually comes from a lack of, which puts you in a needy position. It's like, oh, I need this thing, right? Want is not a need. It's changed in the modern world, and it's just another word for desire, right? It's just another word for desire in the modern world. Desire, to long for, express a wish or obtain, a strong feeling of wanting to have something or wishing for something to happen. That is a desire. It is also, wanting is like. It is the word like. Verb, like. Third person, present. Likes, past tense. Liked, past principle. Liked, gerund, or present participle. Liking. Number one. Find agreeable, enjoyable, or satisfactory. The verb comes from the Old English liscian, meaning to please or be pleasing, right? To please and be pleasing. What do I like? To be pleased and pleased. What pleases me? What likes me? What do I like? What do I find satisfactory? Another word for want, satisfy, right? When you get what you want, it's satisfying to you. So, satisfy, verb, meet the expectations, needs, or desires of someone. She satisfies me every time she looks at me. Push me, and then just touch me until I can get my satisfaction. So, for the longest time, men have been motivated by pain and suffering, which means that our motivations come from a place of this lack, right? Where it's like, oh, I need to fill this void. When for men in particular, we live in this world right now where everything's run by so much like a pleasure, right? Abundance. We want, desire to get this thing. A want is not a not want either, right? So when it comes to like our motivations, is you can have this desire to not feel shit and pain, but that's not a proper desire. So we really got to get clear on what this is. And if we have this avoidance for pain as well, we're like, I don't want to feel this pain. We ask the question, why? Well, it's like, I don't want to feel this pain so that I can get away from feeling shit. Then how's that going to make you feel? Good. It's going to make me feel pleasure. It's going to make me feel whatever the emotions are. It goes back to a positive emotion. So it's kind of like negative plus positive equals positive, positive plus positive equals positive, negative plus negative equals positive, right? So it's like everything leads to some sort of pleasurable emotion that we want to feel, which is fucking crazy, by the way. I hope your whole just perception of the universe just completely cracked and changed. So, we can look at the pain that we want to feel. We get as close as possible to death to get this clarification, right? So this can look like business risks, debt we've been avoiding, creative projects, putting our soul into, sabotaging a relationship, or running a marathon back-to-back every day for a month, or other men choking you the fuck out on some jiu-jitsu mats. But if we aren't experiencing life facing off of our own death, we numb it. Simple as that. So what happens is we numb the desire of our wants, right? So both of these motivations of positive and pain, even though they're eventually there for positive, is extremely focused, right? Is focus on the one thing that we achieve, or we completely disassociate from it, which means we numb ourselves out, which is why men, alcohol, medication, porn, video games, whatever, right? Avoidance. So we can move we can go through the world at 1,000,000 miles in one direction and realize that it's the wrong fucking direction because we've been avoiding, the pain. And most of the time is when we lean into the pain, we end up feeling pleasure. Same way as going to the gym or healing something, whatever it is. There's always pleasure at the end of pain. So I assume you've heard this before. Emotion, right? Energy and motion. So I want you to think about your want and your desire is it's just energy in your body. The strongest and most courageous man is the one who listens to his body. Our balls, gut, and heart and brain are consistently sending us signals. This is why great men and monks recommend to meditate, because that's when we treat the connection of energy in our bodies closest to the highest version of ourselves, God, or the infinite intelligence, because you can bridge the gap between, and you do that by bridging the gap between how you feel and then how do you articulate it. Because the biggest problem men have with the desires and what they want is we just don't articulate it, right? What this means, men, is that women won't follow you. Women have no idea how to give to you. And if you look at a woman's desires for wants, she wants to give in every single direction. Women, when they give like there, here. They give everywhere. They're just giving all the time. They give so much of themselves and they want to be giving. Right? It makes them feel incredible to give. But you've got to lead it into one direction. Otherwise, they're going to give to you in every area. You're not going to notice. She's going to build up a shitload of resentment and be like, well, this guy never receives me. He never gives me what I want. And I feel like I'm getting nothing from him because I'm giving. And I'm getting nothing in return. That's what she thinks. That's what she says to your face sometimes. And you're like, what the hell is going on? So if you want a woman to be able to follow your leadership, you have to know what you want. And that is done by getting sensitive, by listening to the emotions and the energy that is happening inside of your body so that you can then provide it for women in leadership by knowing what you want. And then she gives to you, you start seeing it because it's what you want. You appreciate her for it. She's like, oh my God, this guy's so easy to be around. I love being around this guy, so easy to give to. I'm so in love with him, right? All of that comes from that, which is just insane. So if words are spells and we spell out words to bring images and sense and meaning to another person's mind and more greatly to our own mind, it is the duty of a wizard, with the wizard within us, to spell correctly, to articulate with poise the highest version of ourselves would. So to connect close with our wants and our sacred desires of life, especially when it comes to leading the feminine, we've got to understand that the reward of our desire and wants will help lead the feminine into love, into excitement. Because what is the purpose of a man to a woman besides offspring? Says the bitter but smart man to the rational man who's holding a red pill, right? What is the purpose of a man to a woman besides offspring? So offspring says the smart, bitter, rational man to the red pill, right? So essentially, that's a bit of dig on red pill society, because it's like, they think like the only reason that a woman wants to hang out with a guy is because of offspring and providership and all of these, like just providing money and that's it, right? When that's definitely not the truth. A woman wants to have a man lead her into her own heart. A woman will sleep under a bridge for a man. And if a woman is getting with a guy specifically for money and specifically for food and a child, then is that a woman you want to be with? Because then you're a means to an end, right? No, that's what we got to be careful around as guys. Why is there women out there that will sleep under a bridge with a guy who's in his own heart, who's chasing his mission, can be dirt broke and should just be with him? You're like, what the fuck? All right, this happens. There's supermodels, like some of the best looking women in the world, and their partners are builders. Like, don't even own their own building company. You know what I mean? They just work for someone. You've seen it happen. Does it last? Who knows? Maybe fame and all these other things. I could get into that. But there is Jennifer Hawkins, who was Miss Universe Australia, a really good example. She's not a one-off at all. Jennifer Hawkins, Alex Hormozy, we're definitely in positions where this happened. Jennifer Hawkins' husband's just a builder. Not just a builder, great builder, he's an amazing dude, real handsome and shit. Alex Hormozy was in the pits of the pits, and Layla decided to be with him, still with him now, right? So if you guys don't know who they are, have a look at some of their stories, just Google it and see how they're like still together. It's amazing. It just proves that is completely wrong, right? That women only want to be with you because of money, and women for children. So in order to understand your wants, you got to understand what satisfies you. You have to understand these positive emotions. I'm going to list you out some now. Receive these in, like try to feel these emotions. Alluring, inviting, fulfilling, appealing, pleasing, turned on, overjoyed, charmed, satisfied, relieved, enticed, gladdened, delighted, tempted, resonate, gratified, content, thrilled, enlivened, amusing, right? These are the words that you communicate and have to know like what you want in regards to these emotions. What provides you these? What do you find appealing? That's what you want. What do you find alluring? That's what you want. What do you find inviting? That's what you want. Do you like being invited? When do you like feeling relieved? How do you like to feel satisfied? How do you like to feel gladdened, delighted, tempted, resonated with, gratified, content, thrilled, enlivened, amusing, right? One of the questions below in the journal prompt is for you is to write down under this list how you would like to feel all of those emotions when it comes to dating in a relationship that a woman can do for you, right? Obviously, we're here to learn this, right? So how can a woman, what do you want her to do and act and be around you to help you feel all those emotions? It can be text messages, things she says, could be things she does, could be gifts that she brings. No restriction, right? No restriction. Allow yourself to really like run through those. So when it comes to what you want, some things have to be done. It's better to do them than to live with the fear of them, right? This is a quote from Logan Ninefingers of the Lord of the First Trilogy. You might have things that you want, and if you do not communicate them in a way that's healthy, it builds up as fear, resentment, something else. You feel like you feel like you're misunderstood, and you're conditioning patterns of being misunderstood, abandoned, or whatever it is, because it's like there's a fear that you feel guilty around what your want is. Very clearly and quickly for me in relationships, I used to feel guilty around this. As soon as I start talking to a woman, quite early on, things that you want. I have a fantasy. I want a threesome with 2 women. I've had plenty of threesomes when I was younger with my mates, right? And it was all just fun, like muck around, like, yeah, look at this, like, you're doing this with her when she's doing this with me, right? When truly for me, it's like, well, I really want an experience, like a sexual gratification experience for me of I want and truly desire is 2 women. And have I had that yet? It's like, no. Okay, well, have I gotten close to that? Yes, over the last year. Why? I've been offered it multiple times. Why? Because I've just said that as my intention. However, I started bonding with someone, so I had to put those stuff to the side because I'm like, I feel like I'm going to cross this relationship and I don't want to do that, right? We've been bonding, we're in practice, and I really like her, I don't want to lose her. So now that I've communicated this, even if the person or my partner doesn't want to at first, because there's this lack of safety and feeling that I know is happening, I know that she wants to give to me. So she's going to start thinking this thing and be like, oh, okay. And every single time I've brought this up to a woman and there's been resistance, eventually they've been like, yeah, I can lean into this in the future for sure. Like maybe not the same country or maybe somewhere else, whatever it is, but like, yeah, I can start to see myself being able to do this for you. And every time I'd be like, wow, why the hell didn't someone just tell me that? I could have things as good as this, right? And I can get these things that I want. You may have had lots of threesomes with men and women, and multiple women, or even 3, 4, 5 women, whatever, and you're watching this because you want a long-term relationship. But the threesome isn't the lesson. The threesome that I'm talking about is knowing what you want and just communicating it, right? Like immediately communicating it. So what the fuck do you want, bro? What do you want, man? Essentially, you've got like this, there's a diagram I want you to think of. And it's if you look down below, it's probably either down here, or if it's not down there, because I'm putting it down, it'll be there soon. But if not, you can look at the urgency matrix. And you can see over time, you've got like urgent, needs to be done, urgent, doesn't need to be done, doesn't need to be done, not urgent, is urgent, need to be done. There's like the 4 boxes, right? It's the exact same thing with when it comes to what do you want short-term and long-term. Like, does a man knows what you can have at the bottom, and the worst is a man who doesn't know what he wants short-term or long-term. Then you've got a man who knows what he wants short-term, doesn't know what he wants long-term, a man who knows what he wants long-term but doesn't know what he wants short-term, and then a man who knows what he wants long-term and short-term. They're the different categories. You're going to know what you want short-term and long-term. Short-term is like head scratches, tickles, touching, this stuff that I like, right? Quality time, going to movies, accepting my dates, big sloppy kisses with a lot of tongue. I like all this kind of stuff, right? Text messages, sexy photos. Like I like that. That's knowing what I want in the short term. Long term, house, where I want to live, location, travel, experiences, what I want our relationship to look like. It's like knowing all of these things. Healthy personal development, good conversations around communication and conflict management, blah, 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 blah. This is the things that I want. So when you know what these are that you want, it can really inform your disqualification process, which is down below, because it's like, oh, I understand these things. And it makes it very hard to run through the disqualification process if you haven't done this. So down below, when it comes to doing what you want, the one is you're going to go through those emotions that I listed and go through everything that you want short term, and then everything that you want to feel for those long term, right? So break it off, short term, long term, down below. And that's going to make it so much easier for you to be like, oh my God, this is what I want. If there's any other emotions that come up, rewrite it. This is the most important thing you do. If you don't do anything else in masculine social dynamics and you're like, okay, I wanted to get the one quick thing out of this and that was you, this is it. Like this is it, dude. This is like getting to point, it's getting a yellow belt in karate real quick, from yellow to white. It's like you can get that by just writing this shit down. Like you got to write this down. It's a link between your brain and, learning is that. So the law is he who cannot command himself must obey. So Friedrich Nietzsche. How can we command if we don't know what we want to command? You will always be obeying if you don't know how to command, and you don't know how to command if you don't know what you want or want to command. Number 2, your nervous system is the container. If the container can't hold desire, it'll leak into neediness, control, or compulsive pursuit. So if you don't have, if your body can't deal with the tension of knowing what you want and feeling okay with what you want and proud and completely accepting with what you want, it'll leak out into being needy, into avoiding, into being controlling, or, compulsively like trying to get attention and feminine approval from someone because it's like, I don't know what I want. So, I'm going to project that onto her and offset it onto her. Extremely unattractive. Extremely unattractive. That's when you get needy. That's when you feel like, she's not texting back. That's when you feel like you need her to message you. That's when you see her more than you know that you should. And you start saying things or inserting yourself in situations where you shouldn't. Or you start completely avoiding and rejecting her. You're like, hell no, because you don't want to feel what you want. So you go cold, silent, shut down. Like all of those things come from not knowing what you want first, very first. There's other stuff that come into that, but the first one is not knowing what you want. Feminine opens up to direction and certainty, not rigid dominance, clean choice. Wanting without leadership for her feels safe, right? It feels unsafe. So wanting without leadership, so like having like direction and being able to lead her into what you want makes her feel real safe, because you can just, you can lead by just saying, this is what I want. And there's definitely different ways of communicating it. But when it's embodied in you, the energy feels different. She communicates by feeling more so than talking. Most of your triggers in dating and relationship are purely a lack of knowing what you want first. I've already said that. A want is not a not want. Never, when you're writing the stuff down below, you cannot say, there's a rule here, do not say, I don't want her. I want her to not do this. I want her to not do that. Those don't count. They're not wants, right? Wants fuel your intention. How good? Wants be fueling your intention. So knowing what you want and your desire, when it's strong enough, will turn into an intention. And your intention is just, bang, this is how I hold space with feeling this tension in my body, knowing that I'm eventually going to get what I want. Sort of how we used that example before of the date on the Thursday. It's like, I want to get this date on a Thursday. Maybe that was in another video. If you want a date on, like, let's say you're organizing it, you say, hey, be ready Friday, 7 p.m. And then she says, oh, I can't because I've got this thing on. And you say, you've actually got nothing else on. You say, hey, I'd like you to change your plans around. I want to see you this time and this date. Be ready. And she goes, okay, right? You've just held massive intention in regards to what you want, right? You've already told her what you want. She knows that you want that, but now you're holding the intention to get that done. So there's this difference between wanting and intention, and your desire and want will fuel that. And you will cut through her, you'll cut through anything else to make that happen, and that can be extremely attractive. But yes, there's other times when you have to bend. You could say that to her and she goes, oh, absolutely not. Like, I can't do Friday night, but thank you for trying to lead me. You go, okay, Tuesday this time instead. She might say, perfect, right? You just change, but you still lead. A lack of wants is an avoidance of responsibility. This is the most important point in this whole thing, right? A lack of wants is an avoidance of responsibility internally, because wanting feels uncomfortable. It puts you in a position to be a leader. And if you've got to deal with uncertainty, you have to deal with rejection. So if you have this avoidance strategy or thing that's up in your mind, is you're never going to get your wants met, right? There's a really beautiful quote here. Incoming. Tune your brain on right now. This is like absolutely wild. Those who restrain desire do so because theirs is weak enough to be restrained. And being restrained, it does by degrees become passive, until at last it is nothing but a shadow of a desire. Let me read that up, more beautiful. Those who restrain desire do so because theirs is weak enough to be restrained. And being restrained, it does by degrees become passive, until at last it is nothing but the shadow of a desire. William Blake. Absolutely beautiful. So you have to allow the strength of your desire to come in, which is a leaning in more so than an avoidance, right? Because you can avoid the feelings of discomfort for your desire, and that's an avoidance of responsibility, which means you don't have to step up as a man. Do you want to step up as a man? Always, right? That's why we're here. Universal law, frequency illusion. Recognize it, and once you see it, it's everywhere. So what happens is the frequency of illusion is this. When you see something, like a yellow Volkswagen, and then you start seeing Volkswagens everywhere, you're like, oh my God. What happens is you create recognition cells in your brain. So you have this like recognizing like little synapses thing that happens in your brain that's like, oh my God, that's that thing. Oh my God, that's that thing. So if you never know what you want, then those cells of recognition never come up. That's when you get a woman that'll cheat on you, a woman that'll leave you, a woman who'll be like, oh my God, blah, 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 whatever, and you just have a shitty relationship. 10 years down the track, she sues you for everything or whatever, they're dangerous women, or you have a shitty just fucking relationship where you're miserable, right? That is because you're not clear on what you want. So the goal in this situation for this is to simply know what you want, because now you're creating cells of recognition in your brain. This is the law of manifestation. This is how you literally manifest wealth, success, travel, freedom, love, intimacy. All those things come when you know what you want and you're very clear on it. It goes into the subconscious part of your brain. The subconscious kind of works like this, right? The same way that your stomach digests food without you thinking about it is the same way your body will start behaving and reacting and showcasing emotions in a way that's dealing with what your body is taking in through your eyes, ears, nose, screen, like whatever's directly in front of you. Now, it's extremely hard to communicate what is going inside of your body immediately as it's happening, right? It takes so much presence and time. We don't have the amount of words for what we can process in our brain so quickly, especially in our subconscious. So what it does is it sends signals of emotions to us. So we can reprogram it in the opposite way. So when we know what we want, we're like, I want this thing. You have this feeling and this emotion that your body's like, oh yeah, I feel this. That goes up into our brain and then helps us see us everywhere. Then we start feeling positive emotions or negative emotions that'll help us go and direct us to which way we want to go, because it has now been planted into our subconscious. I've just explained subconscious and unconscious. Like the whole precipice of it is that. Like that's the whole, understanding manifestation and the keys to the universe and all that stuff is really just that, right? It's using this frequency illusion and understanding how cells of recognition work, and that it'll send you divine influxes of emotion, which is just energy, to try to pinpoint you in the right way to your intention to help you get what you want. If you don't know what it is that you want, you will always fall back onto what feels most comfortable, which for you, if you had a chaotic relationship with your parents as a childhood, with a woman you've been betrayed on, or you've been cheated on, whatever it is, or it's been yelling or screaming, or there's just been no communication at all, you will fall back to that because you don't know what you want. And then your brain and subconscious will go, oh, let's go to that because we don't know, right? We don't know what we want. This is why knowing what you want is so incredibly important. And this is why your choice, your sacred choice, is so incredibly important. And this is why know thyself is so important. And this is why understanding your purpose and where you're going and who you are as a man and the legacy that you want to leave behind is so important, because then you will be able to call in a woman who will support you to get there. A woman, or if you want, women. Remember, we are men. We can get anything that we want in this world when we set our minds to it. So welcome to Masculine Social Dynamics, guys. Let's go.